The evolution of Kyoto, from ancient capital to modern Japan. For more than 1,000 years, Kyoto has stood at the heart of Japan's history. It has witnessed the rise and fall of emperors, the power struggles of samurai, the construction of magnificent temples, devastating wars, cultural revolutions, and the arrival of modern technology. But Kyoto was not always the peaceful and beautiful city we know today. Its story begins more than 12 centuries ago, when Japan was searching for a new political center. This is the story of how Kyoto evolved, from an imperial capital surrounded by forests and mountains, into one of the world's most important cultural cities. Chapter 1. Before Kyoto. Long before Kyoto became the capital of Japan, the region was surrounded by mountains, rivers, forests, and fertile valleys. The area was attractive for settlement because of its natural resources and its position between important regions of Japan. But Japan's political center was not always here. During the 8th century, the imperial government moved its capital several times. In 710, the capital was established at Heian-kyo, modern-day Nara. But political problems, religious influence, and concerns about the growing power of Buddhist institutions eventually encouraged the government to search for a new location. Then, in 794, a major transformation took place. Emperor Kanmu moved the capital to a new city called Heian-kyo. This was the beginning of Kyoto's extraordinary history. Chapter 2. The birth of Heian-kyo. The new capital was carefully planned. Heian-kyo was influenced by the design of ancient Chinese capitals. The city was arranged in a large grid. Wide streets divided neighborhoods into organized blocks. At the northern end stood the imperial palace, while government offices and aristocratic residences spread throughout the city. The city was surrounded by mountains, creating a natural landscape unlike many other capitals. At first, Heian-kyo was primarily a political and administrative center. But something else was beginning to develop: culture. The aristocracy created an elaborate world of poetry, music, painting, fashion, literature, and ceremony. Life inside the imperial court became highly sophisticated, and this period would eventually produce some of Japan's greatest literary achievements. Chapter 3. The Golden Age of Court Culture. Between the 9th and 12th centuries, Kyoto became the center of Japanese aristocratic culture. The imperial court developed its own unique identity. Japanese writing evolved. Artists created beautiful paintings. Poets competed to create elegant verses. And among the greatest achievements of this period was the tale of Genji, traditionally attributed to Murasaki Shikibu. Written around the early 11th century, it is often described as one of the world's earliest novels. The story gives us a fascinating glimpse into the emotional and social world of Kyoto's aristocracy. But beneath this beautiful cultural world, Japan was changing. The emperor's direct political authority was weakening. Power was increasingly moving toward powerful military families. And eventually, a new class would transform Kyoto forever: samurai. Chapter 4. Kyoto and the Rise of the Samurai. By the late 12th century, Japan entered an era dominated by military governments. The political center shifted away from Kyoto for periods of time. Kamakura became the headquarters of the first major shogunate. But Kyoto remained extremely important. The emperor still lived there. The imperial court remained there. And Kyoto continued to represent political legitimacy and cultural prestige. Over the following centuries, different military leaders competed for power. And Kyoto frequently found itself at the center of those struggles. The city was no longer simply a place of emperors and aristocrats. It was becoming a battlefield. Chapter 5. War and Destruction. One of the darkest periods in Kyoto's history came during the Unin War, which began in 1467. The conflict was connected to a succession dispute and a larger struggle between powerful military factions. The war lasted for years. Kyoto became a battlefield. Neighborhoods were destroyed. Temples and residences were burned. Thousands of people were killed or displaced. Much of the city was devastated. The Kyoto that emerged from this period was very different from the elegant capital of the Heian era. Yet Kyoto survived. And once again, culture began to grow from the ruins. Chapter 6. The Age of the Warring States. During the 16th century, Japan entered the turbulent Sengoku period. Powerful warlords fought for control of the country. Kyoto became strategically important because whoever controlled the capital could claim enormous political prestige. One of the most famous figures of this era was Oda Nobunaga. Nobunaga entered Kyoto in 1568 and helped establish a new political order. Later, Toyotomi Hideyoshi became one of the most powerful rulers in Japan. Hideyoshi transformed Kyoto. He ordered major reconstruction projects. Roads were reorganized. Defensive structures were constructed. Temples were rebuilt. New districts appeared. Kyoto once again became a major political and cultural center. Chapter 7. The Edo period. In 1603, Tokugawa Ieyasu established the Tokugawa shogunate. The political center moved to Edo, the city we now call Tokyo. But Kyoto did not disappear from the national stage. Instead, its role changed. Edo became the center of political power. Kyoto became the center of imperial tradition and culture. For more than 2 centuries, the two cities developed different identities. Edo represented the power of the shogunate. Kyoto represented the emperor, tradition, religion, art, and classical culture. During this period, Kyoto became famous for craftsmanship. Silk production flourished. Traditional textiles became highly developed. Tea culture expanded. The city's temples and gardens became important cultural landmarks. Kyoto was slowly becoming the cultural capital of Japan. Chapter 8. The Meiji Revolution. Then came another dramatic transformation. In the 19th century, Japan faced enormous pressure from Western powers. The Tokugawa system began to weaken. In 1868, the Meiji Restoration transformed Japan's political system. The emperor once again became the central symbol of national authority. But there was a major consequence for Kyoto. The imperial court moved to Tokyo. For the first time in more than 1,000 years, Kyoto was no longer Japan's primary imperial.